Yeah, so my poem, the one I want to share with you, actually has a background story to it. So it's a bit of like a part testimony. And so in 2013, 2014, there was a riot, a very bad riot. And what happened basically is that the police officers had drawn a perimeter. And anyone found in that perimeter, they were picking up. Whether dogs, cats, people, you name it, they were being picked up. And unfortunately, I was one of those. And I recall we were taken to Charleston Police. And Charleston Police there, I had to spend about 3 nights in the cell. And then after that, I recall my father coming to bail me out, writing all the formalities. And then eventually a phone call came from State House saying that we have to take those guys to court. And for the next 7 months of my life, it was all about back and forth court cases. So you could say that I had a 5th course while studying, since we used to take 4 courses, right? So I had a 5th course. And eventually, at the end of that 7 months, the verdict was that we were innocent. And I definitely thanked God through that experience that the result was the way it was. But I kept asking myself, why did I go through that? What was that all about? Why me? I mean, I'm a child, Lord, you know. But then, when the verdict was given, that's when my eyes opened to why exactly I went through that. And my poem is centered basically on the 3 days that I was in that police cell and what exactly I experienced. If I recall well, this poem, I think I shared it in 2015 thereabouts. But I just wanted to bless you guys with it. The title of the poem is 3 Nights with a Convict. It goes like this. Robes of righteousness you chose to wear. Robes of righteousness you chose to wear. But that night I met you, they had been stripped bare. As I entered that cell on the back of a falsified charge of riotous behavior, I said, as I entered that cell on the back of a falsified charge of riotous behavior, like a favor, you beating us up were pleasantries you likened to a home awaiting a visitor. Welcome. You offered me a cigarette to massage my plight, which you repeatedly. You offered me a cigarette to massage my plight, which I repeatedly declined. Upset, you gave the cigarette a huff and puff and began to outline that the individual holed up in the corner, at pains with his thoughts, was in for murder. Others were in for trespassing, assault, drugs, and the rest of the chunk, theft. I guess we made a rainbow of the lowest scum of the earth. And the officer with the roll star, roll call being called, he called Abraham, John, Joseph, Moses. It's such names that brought feelings like I was in a church service. I saw you love violence. So to avoid your fits of rage, I opted to step on the stage and share a poem. Every word spoken cutting through your heart and soul as your eyes began to glow behind that thick beard on hardened skin. As I spoke, you were so keen. It seemed every word struck a chord, was nodding your head in accord. Your chest all jittery, your heart all simmering. This silence never seen before. With a smirk of a smile, you spoke like you used to speak like this before. As you said, the pastor you once stewarded for lust for money and power became his master, his holy creed. So this never put you at peace. So you left to say people are lost when they chase men of God and God himself, courts of clay and the potter himself, words of men and the word himself, to help them discern right from wrong to oneself. I tried to give you balance, and many words on the faith were exchanged like clothes. But when we hit God's grace being deeper than the ocean's flow, you rejected to be a prodigal son returning home. Words from your mouth to my ears upon, I was shocked of the truth you knew but did not depend upon. As you let it know that alcohol and smoking the new gods of your life, and that your addiction to sex made you cheat on your wife. As you woke up that night to beat up the man sleeping next to you, blood violence dripping from your red angry eyes, having been in that cell for 2 weeks day and night, your veins are reflecting your stress so high like the walls of Jericho. My eyes could only echo. My heart felt sympathy as to how your soul had turned cold. After all, that's what you were in the lockup for. Assault. My 3-day walk to freedom made me realize I made a friend in you. When I came back to that cell to visit you, I didn't find you. Much as your wife had moved heaven and earth to find the bail money to get you out of that cell, the truth be, our Lord had paid the price with his blood to keep you out of hell. As I left Charleston Police, I pondered in laughter on how you nicknamed me Jacob the Crook for my slick speech trying to avoid your fits of rage, because in truth, I was really trying to avoid your short fuse. You really loved my poem, and I recall you really loved my poem that you had me write it down for you. Little did I know I would write a poem about you to say, God's grace still being deeper than the ocean's flow. It was on that gel's cold concrete floor that you prayed, and you rededicated your life back to God. Wherever you are, in my prayer play, God's grace still being deeper than the ocean's flow, I thank God that you finally came home.